This bill to the House, sir.
Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take a call on behalf of New Zealand First on the 16th of May here in this chamber, but outside it is the 17th of May, my son's 28th birthday. Happy birthday, Sam. And it is somewhat surreal to be here and while we're in the same country to think that we're on a different dateline and different time zone while others are enjoying a very nice birthday in Auckland. But having said that, we also have another young man who's a bit older than my son, who's 28, who's now the Energy Minister, Simon Bridges, and we're going to give Simon the benefit of the doubt, because Simon came in as the new minister in January, and actually I think he's actually been doing a pretty good job. I've had a bit to do with Simon, and I brought things to Simon's attention, and he has responded, and I have appreciated the fact that he has. And in this instance, everyone wants to try and pin it all on Simon that this amendment is being required. But at the end of the day, as we all know, the legislation is drafted by legal minds and advisors within the Parliament, and it's not always that every single loophole is picked up, and it's not always that every contingency is included. And in this respect, this was a pretty big bit of legislation in terms of the Crown Minerals Act in the first place. And it doesn't surprise us in New Zealand First that there probably were a few things overlooked. And we're actually very pleased that some of these small loopholes in it are being corrected so soon and now, so that it doesn't just drag on. And there's nothing worse than having bad legislation on the books and finding that it doesn't work and it doesn't help. And we're particularly drawn to the regulatory impact report. And as New Zealanders well know, New Zealand First is very supportive of good policy, that will see more employment, more jobs, more economic opportunity for this country, and more regional development in particular. And in this regard, in the regulatory impact report, it says there will be an increase in permitted activity, and this could in turn lead to increased economic activity, exports, royalties to the Crown, employment and regional development. So obviously, if you have an increase in permitted activity, it does stimulate greater economic activity as a result. We're very supportive of that. New Zealand First wants to see New Zealand improve its performance overall, and we do want to see good, sustainable, responsible use of the resources that our country has. And we do have to recall the fact that New Zealand has the 5th largest exclusive economic zone in the world. It is vast, it is huge, and I sat on the Local Government and Environment Select Committee, and I was most impressed with the information that came to that committee about just the potential that is out there in our economic zone, and what it would mean to a small country of 4.5 million people if we properly explored it and if we properly took care of it, bearing in mind that we have to be very mindful we are the guardians of a very important part of the South Pacific. It has to be done in a proper manner, in a safe manner and a responsible manner, but there still is huge opportunity out there which this country must be looking at. And so in that respect, this is good legislation to sort this out, get it right, get it improved so that that can occur. And in reading the legislation where it says that Tier 1 permit applicants for exploration who does not have the expertise or financial ability to undertake exploration drilling activities will be able to be granted a permit on a conditional basis. And it goes on to give the reasons to that. There will be instances where some companies are wanting to come and invest and look at opportunities and put their money on the line and look at ways to contribute to our economy, who may need to gear up and improve their capacity, improve their knowledge in the area. and who will be bringing on other partners and other joint venture operators with them to do this. And so it is a building program, and you can't necessarily have the full level of expertise and capacity from day one. And so again, this legislation provides for that. We don't see that as necessarily being negative, but what it does mean is that there will be opportunities for investment in this country by those that otherwise might not have considered it in the first place. So, Mr. Speaker, we will be supporting this, but also what New Zealand First would like to remind New Zealanders of is the fact that out of all the minerals and out of the taking of resources from our country, often where those minerals and those resources are taken from, those very same places don't necessarily get the full benefit of that extraction. Now, Taranaki's done very well. Taranaki has been the jewel in the crown of the resources industry in this country, but often it's not the way, and around the world it's often not the way that where resources are taken from, the people living there don't necessarily benefit. Companies benefit, corporates benefit, the government can benefit, but not necessarily the people. So New Zealand First has put out a policy a month or so ago, our regional royalties policy, and it's very clear what we say, New Zealand First, is that we would return 25% of all Crown royalties taken from any resources or minerals or extractions taken. 25% of the royalties would go back to the region that they are removed from. And we believe that's a very sound and sensible policy, and it will put money back into those areas to pay for necessary infrastructure, to support roading, to support infrastructure, to support the necessary capacity in those regions to help support those very same mining or minerals or extraction industries that are going on. And we believe that would be a very, very sensible thing that we would like to, at some stage in the future, get through legislation to provide for. And at the same time, we believe that those minerals should, and the extraction should be paying higher Crown royalties as well. We believe the Crown royalties that are taken at the moment are too low. We think there should be a review of this, and we think New Zealand should undertake a full comparison to other countries and ensure that we really are getting a fair, what do they say, suck of the salve, as they say in Australia, but that we should be getting our fair whack from what is being taken. So, Mr. Speaker, we are going to support this legislation, and we hope that this will now sort the Crown Minerals Amendment Act out, and that we can take this on, and that New Zealand can continue to grow and prosper as a result of future opportunities with Crown Minerals.
I call Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's my great pleasure to stand in support